I had sort of a more mild version of it as a child where I remember I would have to touch things and tap things. And if you're wondering what the thinking is going on in the person, or in this case, the child's mind, I remember thinking, I know even as a, let's say, 8-year-old, that this is crazy. But just to cover my bases so I'm safe, I'm going to do it. So an example would be I'm leaving the room and we're going out to dinner and I need to kiss the teddy bear on its head 6 times. And if I don't, something bad could happen. Something bad could happen to my family. Now, I know that that's a crazy thought, even as an 8-year-old, but I remember thinking, you know what, but just to cover my bases, just for safety's sake, I'm going to do it. It's a lot like superstition. Like, I still won't walk under a ladder.
Me neither.
I don't think that there's special forces that are going, hurt him now. But in my brain still, I go, just to cover my bases, I'm not going to walk under the ladder. And that's how at least that obsessive compulsive tapping thing manifested for me as a child.
Now, did your parents notice it? Like, oh, Zach's doing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They brought me to a psychologist or psychiatrist. I forgot which one. And you know, they explained it to them. My mom was a psychologist, so she was in the know about it. And then I think he said in some ways, you know, he'll be dealing with some aspect of this his whole life. Just, you know, but it's manageable. And then I didn't think of it in the forefront of my brain because the tapping, the most bizarre stuff, obsessively washing my hands, that sort of stuff I grew out of. But you know, and then I just, you know, began to realize that I was a bit of an anxious person, but that just kind of went along with feel like the stereotypic East Coast Jewish, you know, guy.
Right.
I was raised on Woody Allen movies. He was like the icon of being an East Coast Jewish American, and he was cartoonishly neurotic and anxious, and so I just thought it was part of being who I was.
Right.
And now as a 45-year-old, I see places where I'm possibly more anxious about things than the average human being.
Do you think you've gotten more anxious as years have gone on? For me, I felt like I always sort of think in terms of I had more energy. So, you know, I was younger. My body could deal with the stress. It could deal with all these things. And then I hit a certain age and all this shit kind of added up. And now it manifests itself and then comes out in a different way, which doesn't feel as good. Sometimes, you know, I don't feel as confident. Sometimes I feel a little bit just too much on edge. I'm a little bit wound up. The anxiety affects me differently than it did when I was younger. So do you feel that?
Yes, absolutely. It's the same thing. I think that it just found a way to peek its head out in a different way. There's a line I wrote some of this into my film Garden State because it was manifesting itself in when I graduated college in a new way. And I was having these really bad sporadic headaches. And I did go to a neurologist, and they said in so many words, it's anxiety. There's nothing wrong with you. And in the film, the neurologist tells me, you know, if you don't deal with some of these things, they're going to find a way of peeking their head out of the water. And so that's kind of how I felt, you know, in my early 20s. I felt like that doctor as I was a child was right. I haven't really dealt with any of this in any way. And I don't really know how. I mean, I can go to therapy. I can do things that decrease my anxiety. But at the time I felt really scared and anxious, for lack of a better word, about it, and so that was one of the things that created Garden State. It sort of came out of all that.